I asked you what you wanted to know about being a person who films RC videos for YouTube. One of the top things that you responded back with was things to consider as you're starting your YouTube journey. That's what we're talking about right here today. The first tip for your YouTube journey is you just kind of got to go do it. Yes, I know it's daunting at first. So if you're looking to get started, you're like, what do I do? Do I have all the right equipment? I don't know what I want to say. I don't know if I want to be on camera. My face, what if my friends see? What if my parents see? What if, oh my gosh, there's 1,000 reasons why you shouldn't. So that's why you just have to start, right? There's never going to be a right moment. You're never going to get all the right stuff. You're never going to be in a place where you're 100% confident. So you just got to do it. Whether you have fancy cameras, whether you're using just your cell phone, whether you're using some like GoPro 1 from 30 years ago, it doesn't matter. Just go out there, get something and just start. If you don't ever start, you'll never know. You'll never even begin. So you've just got to start somewhere. You can make some accommodations at the beginning. At first, I didn't put my face on camera. I didn't talk directly to the camera. I was too nervous. I was too shy. I didn't want to do that. I didn't do that for a lot of my first videos until I got more comfortable with it. And now I do it all the time. And my wife sometimes still makes fun of me, and whatever, it's fine. It doesn't matter, right? So first step, you just got to do it. The second tip is why. Why you have to know why you're doing this, because it's not a zero time commitment. I actually have a video in this whole RC YouTube series about the time that it takes me to put a video together and all the auxiliary and periphery things around putting a video together and what that time takes. It's not zero, right? It doesn't have to be all-encompassing, all-absorbing of your life, but it's not zero time either. You're going to end up spending some money on it. You're going to end up talking to other folks about it. Your family's going to wonder what you're doing. Like it's going to happen, right? So you have to know why. Why are you doing it? Are you trying to build a whole brand and you're trying to figure out how to make money and for YouTube to be your full-time job? But it doesn't have to be that. And honestly, if it is that, you probably are going to be frustrated. That's just my little tip to you at the beginning. We'll talk about that more here in just a second. But your why is going to change over time, and it's going to fluctuate, and it's going to be a little bit different. Let me give you a simpler example. I got started with all of this because I got a Traxxas X-Max. I had been out of the RC world forever, and I actually had a coworker show me a video of the X-Max back when it first came out, and it was only a 6S model. And I was like, that is what I always wanted when I was a kid, is a big old crazy high-powered monster truck. I want that. So I got one. And I had a blast with it. Me and the kids were playing with it. All was great. And then I go into work and I tell this guy about what we did over the weekend, and he'd kind of look at me like, no, you didn't. You didn't do that. That thing didn't jump that high. You didn't do that backflip off that tree. You didn't, whatever it was. So I started to film it just so I could show people at work what I was doing. That was my why, and that's okay. Maybe your first why is you just want to show off what you and your buddies are doing. Maybe you just want to show a friend. Maybe you just want to post a video to your favorite, RC's Facebook group. Whatever it is, that's your why to start, and it may change over time. When you are spending the nights or the time videoing, when you're editing those videos and all that, and you'd rather be watching a movie with your family, or you'd rather be doing something else, you gotta know what your why is. And that will also help guide you a little bit for how much commitment you're giving to it and how much time you're giving to it. If your why is just for giggles to show off what your buddies are doing, then you're probably gonna give it less time. If you're on the complete opposite end of that spectrum and you're trying to make YouTube your full-time job, then you're probably giving it a lot more time and a lot more energy. So that's why you have to know what your why is, because you don't want those two things misaligned. If your why is that you just want to show off what your buddies are doing, but you're giving it the full-time YouTube time and energy, you're going to get burnt out and you're going to be quitting very quickly. Tip number 3 here is a really, really big one, which is with your why and this understanding that you have, so you're clicking the record button and you have your why kind of in, you need to know that there's a couple different kinds of RC YouTube videos out there, and you need to make sure that it matches with your strategy. I'm going to just make it very, very simple and say that there's an entertainment video and there's a growth video. Those are two very different things. The entertainment video is very simple. Wow, look at this cool thing I did, right? Whatever that may be, whether it's the craziest backflip you've ever done, or it's the cool new build that you've made, or whatever that may be, it's kind of there for the wow factor, for the entertainment. And what happens with those kind of videos is they get a bunch of views and then they die, right? Very, very rarely do those kind of videos kind of maintain life and continue to get views over time, but they're really good at getting views now, but then they die. So if your channel is based on that and that's what you're wanting to do, then you need to know that that's what's going to happen with these videos. The flip side of that is a growth video, and a growth video is one where it continues to get views over and over and over again over time. Sometimes you see these things coming, sometimes you don't. As you experiment with different kinds of videos, you'll probably figure out which ones are which, because you'll start to see that some of your videos linger and they continue to get views every day, whereas others don't. The great thing about YouTube in this scenario is that YouTube is Google, and which means that the YouTube search engine and the Google search engines are on your side. So if you have a video about a very specific topic, maybe you have a very specific vehicle, or maybe you are doing something very specific with them, when people type that into the search bar, it's more likely to bring your video up. That is a different video. These growth videos don't tend to have that spike of views, the oh wow, look what I did moment. They don't tend to have that. They tend to just be kind of slow, steady growth. And in honesty, sometimes those are the videos that when you first publish them, maybe they look like duds. Because when you first published it, it came across and it didn't get very many views and you didn't get a lot of engagement, and you're like, oh man, well, that was a mistake. That didn't work. But then maybe 6 months later, a year later, that's kind of been my experience, is that 6 months to a year post publishing, all of a sudden I start to see that it's getting more traction, it's getting more views. Why is that? That's a growth video. That is different than the spike and die of the wow excitement videos. The key here is you need to do what you want to do when it comes to the type of video. If you are all about the excitement and the entertainment, and you're naturally a very outgoing and outrageous person like that, then you're probably going to want to be doing the wow videos. And that's going to be something that probably is more in your wheelhouse. And if you enjoy that, that's what you need to be doing. If you find that there's a growth video, different kind, and you just hate doing those videos, then guess what? You're going to hate this hobby, and I'm calling it a hobby, that is YouTube. You're going to hate it. And if you're not having fun at it, then why are you doing it? So you got to figure out what the videos are that you enjoy making, that really fuel your passion and that match with your channel's brand and identity and what you want that to be, and then go after those. Don't go after what you think an algorithm wants or something along those lines. That's all BS. Don't fall for it. Just do you. The last tip that we're talking about here today is timeline. And man, tip number 3 was really, really good and really, really important, and I hope you took that home. Tip number 4 here is also key for you. All right, this isn't a short-term game. This YouTube is a long-term game. Most people who start YouTube channels quit. All right, it's kind of like small business. There's a quote out there that small businesses, it's like, 75% of them fail in the first year. It's got to be something like that, or YouTube also, is that most of the folks who start channels give up on them before they've actually really even had a chance to flourish and become something. So this is a long game, and you've got to realize and stick with it for long enough to see what's going to happen. There's really kind of like 4 things about this. And so first, I just referenced some videos where on the more growth side of it, they took 6 months or a year before they even really took off. So if that's the case, you got to give your channel at least that long before you even make a decision of whether or not the time that you're spending on it and the direction that you're going is even worth it. Because if it sometimes takes a single video that long, then by the time you're done with your first year, you only have about half your videos, your first 6 months worth of videos, that are even starting to figure out where their place is in the world. But the truth is, I still think you're in it for at least a year before you figure out if it's really something that you need to continue or that you need to change. The other piece about this is you got to realize that RC in general is a pretty small niche. It's not football. It's not general business practices. It's not health coaching. If you go to most of the like Google search results, you know, those kind of different websites that you can go to see how big a topic is, basically, no matter what terminology you put in there for remote control in general, it comes up as small audience niche. I fully believe that within your first year, a person putting in the same amount of effort and the same quality of videos, directed content at RC versus maybe a more mainstream topic is going to be a smaller channel versus someone who's targeting a more mainstream audience. That's okay. In a future video, I'm going to talk about you can make plenty of money even as a small YouTube channel. So don't worry about that at all. You got it. If that's one of your goals, if one of your whys is like, I want to make some money off my YouTube channel, you got it. Don't worry, it's fine. But just know that, you know, it's pretty rare in the RC world to have folks that are 50,000 subscribers plus, 100,000 subscribers plus. Yes, you got the RC Sparks and you got the Kevin Talbot and you got a few folks out there with really big number subscriber counts and that maybe that are making a living on YouTube, making it work. But the truth is, it's pretty few and far between. And so you're going to be in this, and if you're in the RC world, you're going to be in a little bit smaller of a niche than maybe some of the other pieces. That's going to impact your growth. When we talk about the timeline of it, it's not going to grow as fast or maybe even as big total because of that. And the other piece here is that the growth is usually not linear. All right, so it's not normally what you see now. Maybe at the beginning, maybe you're under 100 subscribers, and you're seeing, you know, maybe a subscriber a week or something like that added on, and you're like, oh my gosh, to get to 1,000. I mean, dude, I'm 10 years away from getting to 1,000 views, 1,000 subscribers, right? It's not linear; it's exponential. Subscribers build subscribers. Popularity builds popularity. It is more of an exponential curve. The more you grow, the more potential you have to continue growing. So just at the very early stages, it can be pretty dejecting when you're sitting there and you're looking at it and you're like, man, at this rate, you know, I'm going to be dead before I ever get to 1,000 subscribers. It's okay. It will build. It will gain. Stick with it. Your growth will come. It is there. And speaking of that, the last piece here of your timeline is you got to realize that your first videos, even though you put a bunch of effort into them, even though you try really, really hard, your first videos, they're probably going to be junk. Like, unless you do a bunch of video editing, unless you have kind of some background in this world, if you're like me, stepping into this world from a completely different industry and a completely different background, know that it's going to be a while before you publish some videos that you look back on and go, yeah, that really, really was good, right? Like, you're going to think they're good in the moment. They're as good as you can get, and you should always strive to do as good of a job as you can. But you got to keep getting better. And over those first, I'm going to say 100 videos, hear me say this, first 100 videos are probably going to be throwaways. Now that I'm multiple years into this YouTube journey and I've got 1,000+ videos out there on YouTube, very, very few of my videos from those first couple years are still out there public for people to see. Most of them have been either full deleted or put on private, because when I look back on them, I'm like, well, that's not helping my channel anymore. That's something that needs to be gotten rid of. I don't want people going and seeing that now and thinking that's what my channel is about. So I got to get rid of those. But those are all learning steps along the way, and you've got to go through these learning steps. So just do it. Now, there's no fast track here. There's no like, oh, I'm just going to pump out 100 junk videos and it'll be fine. No, you've got to have the learning through the way. You've got to build it. And every time you make another video, you got to try that new technique. Try something a little bit different. Try whatever else to add something to your toolbox, to add something to your skill set, so that 5-10 videos from now, you've got a bunch of tools in your toolbox. So you just got to keep trying. But know that it's okay if you're this video right here is all about getting started on YouTube. So that first videos that you make, they don't need to be perfect. It's okay. Just starting matters. So I hope this is really, really useful for you out there. I have a playlist that I'm starting to create now of this RC YouTube advice, or whatever we want to call this thing. So if you're interested in some of the ones I've already created, check that out. If you have other questions or comments around like what you think I should be talking about, what are questions that you have that you want me to try to talk about, leave them down in the comments section. But If you've heard this and this has been helpful for you, and you know someone in your world that could probably use this same advice, this same information, then please consider sharing this video. It would mean a lot to me. So thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.